So hey friends, it's TR, and boy, it's been a long time since I've done an update, but that's what we're doing this week. It's been a tough couple months, I gotta tell you. I've been sick for about 6 weeks now. I'm finally starting to feel better. And the first week of December, I felt like I had a sinus infection coming on. I've had them before. I used to get one every fall when I lived in Denver, well, at least every fall that I can think of. And, I would go get some antibiotics and everything would be fine. I guess really since I left Denver, I haven't had one. Well, that's not true because I guess it was 2 years ago in the fall I got a sinus infection and I went to urgent care. And it just by happenstance, or I don't know, freak or whatever, but it turned out that the doctor I went to see was in practice with another doctor. His name was Milam, and my mom was his nurse for about 13 years. And we probably spent 20 minutes catching up. And then I told him, I said, yeah, I've had this happen before. And usually what happens is they'll give me some kind of an antibiotic, amoxicillin or something like that. And, a week or so it goes away. So I guess it was probably the first week of December that I started getting that symptoms of a sinus infection. Having kind of a headache and really congested. The congestion wouldn't clear. Well, anyway, that was like 7 weeks ago, and I think I'm finally just getting over it. Again, I went to urgent care. Now, this is my mistake. When I first got to Pocatello here, I should have went and got a doctor lined up right away, but I didn't. I figured, well, knock on wood, I'm somewhat healthy. Anyway, I didn't go and get a doctor, so I went to urgent care. And I saw a PA and I said, listen, I've had this happen before. This is a sinus infection. I need to get some kind of an antibiotic and I'll take some decongestants and that usually clears it up. Okay. So he gives me amoxicillin and sends me home. Well, the dose he put me on was really high and it just totally tore up my guts. I'm still getting over that aspect of it. But I took the amoxicillin for 10 days and I wasn't getting any better. Well, in the interim, I had finally got my insurance sorted out, and that's a whole nother story. The state of Idaho did everything they possibly could I'm so still irritated about this, to deny me my insurance when I moved up here. I've had affordable health care, through the AFA or the Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, for several years now. And I had it in Arizona. I had to cancel that because it didn't really cover me out of state. And of course I had to make a declaration that I wasn't in Arizona anymore. And so I had applied online to get my insurance through Idaho with a qualifying life event, which was, I moved. Now, long story, I'm not going to go into it, but the fact is that they basically denied me my insurance. So I had to go to the short-term market and pay out the ass for really bad insurance just in case, in this time of COVID, you don't want to go without insurance. It could wipe you out. Well, anyway, back to the main story, which is the sinus infection. So I had made an appointment with a doctor here in town. I was going to get established. I'd called my old doctor from when I lived over in central Idaho and asked him for a recommendation, and he turned me on to, it turns out to be a really pretty good doctor, it seems like so far. I've only seen her twice, but I feel good about it so far. But I couldn't get in to see her until the 4th of January. And so, but they have an urgent care facility as well. And so I went over to their urgent care and I met with a doctor over there who's actually a doctor. I'm not saying anything bad about PAs, I think they're fine. But I told him what was going on and said I'd been on some amoxicillin. So he gave me a different antibiotic, I don't remember what it was, and sent me home and told me to use fluticasone, which is Flonase. You can buy the generic kind from Costco, and it's about 1/10 the cost of what the Flonase is. And so I started that treatment. Well, in the interim, I kept getting these really bad sinus headaches. I mean, like really bad. And the whole week before Christmas, I was pretty much on the couch. I was sick as a dog. I'd never had a fever. Never had a cough. Kind of felt like I was worried that I had COVID, to be honest with you. But I never lost this sense of smell. I never lost my sense of taste. And talking to this physician I'm seeing now, she says that's one of the two main things she's seeing with almost every case. So I just had a really bad sinus infection, and it was just really kicking my ass. Well, I'm still kind of just getting over the end of this sinus infection. I go see my doctor, this doctor. My blood pressure's screaming high. And I had told her, I've been having these horrible headaches. In fact, I had one all night. It's still kind of with me. And so she gives me this, she says, your blood pressure is way too high. She says, you need to take some blood pressure medicine. Well, that was a disaster too. I mean, it just kicked my ass. I was just totally wore out. I read the side effects, and I was having every one of the side effects. And basically I had, thank you. And basically I had a constant headache, and I've had a constant headache until just a couple days ago for 6 weeks straight, it seems like. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it sure feels like that. Anyway, so I'm finally getting over that, and I feel like this is probably the best I felt in at least 6 weeks. I feel pretty good today. I actually got out and got my Christmas lights taken down. Yeah, I know, it is what it is. But I did get Christmas lights up this year. I haven't sold the RV yet. It's still sitting in the driveway. And but it'll be going on the block this spring. I'm having some real separation anxiety from the RV, I have to say. I'm missing Tucson. I was speaking to an old friend of mine from the RV park down in Tucson. And he was telling me that, yeah, you know, it's been typical Tucson winter. You know, they get, you know, upper 30s is, you know, low 30s is basically the coldest weather you see out there. And here we've had some close to 0 temperatures. It's been a pretty mild winter Idaho wise, but anyway, I was talking to him, and he says, well, you're not missing much because everything's shut down. You know, they're in so much COVID going on down in that area that I mean, in an RV park, you got to think about this for a minute. You know, it's older people. You know, I mean, I don't really consider myself old. You know, I'm not 65 yet, but a lot of the folks that were in the RV park were 65 plus, and so they're going to be super careful, and they have been, is what he was telling me, about spreading COVID around. I guess there actually was one case of it in the RV park, but talk about becoming an instant pariah. Need a little drink of coffee here. My throat's all gobbled up. Probably because my sinuses are working right and they're actually draining now instead of plugging up and causing my head to explode. I'll have to say that here in eastern Idaho where I'm at, it's been pretty good. There haven't been a lot of cases. Now you got to keep in mind there's only 300,000 people that live within 50 or 60 miles of here. So it's, you know, the population is a lot less. I mean, Tucson proper was probably 1 million. I'm thinking it was 1 million. You know, I feel lucky that there isn't a lot of COVID up here. And of course I'm being super careful. You know, I'm masking up whenever I go in public. And in fact, there was a mask ordinance. The city council, I think, it might have got lifted here just in the last couple of days. I'll have to go read about it. I thought I heard somebody say that. But I've been masking up. I haven't really been hanging out with anybody except my very close friends who I know are as careful as I am. But, you know, so that's pretty much it. You can see that I'm pretty well moved in, but there's a lot of work left to do. I'm still waiting for my blinds. Can you see this mess over here? You know, this is just the back out of a picture frame that I had that I needed something to stick in that window. I've been around and around on my shades, on my blinds. I finally got the blinds, I think, that I ordered. They came in last, was it Wednesday, something like that. I haven't got around to putting them up yet. But the first set I got, the colors were completely wrong. I don't know where that order came from. And that was after waiting 4 months for it too. Because of COVID, the materials I wanted weren't available. And then I get this order, and this has been, oh gosh, it was probably the second week of December finally, the blinds showed up. I think I waited 3 months at that point. And they came in and they're the total wrong color and not even the right sizes. So something got screwed up somewhere. So I call them back, and that took 2 weeks to get sorted out. You know, they wanted to pick the blinds up because it's probably, well, I don't know. The blinds I got were about $500 worth. And so they wanted to get the blinds back. Well, okay, so I packed everything up, and they were sitting here forever. And finally, you know, a FedEx truck came by with a pickup tag and got them from me. But that took 9 days. And they weren't going to do anything until they got them back and inspected them. And I'm like, Jesus H, you know, I mean, bleep, 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 bleep. I'm kind of getting irritated at this point. So they finally came in, I guess it was like I said, last Wednesday. So they'll get to go up here starting tomorrow. Like I said, I just barely got my Christmas lights taken down today because I haven't been feeling that well. I've been working on the home improvement series, but I'm going to go ahead and drop back to one video a week. They'll still premiere on Tuesdays. And then I think I'll start doing a vlog update on, I think I'll do it Saturdays. And if I've been working on, now that I'm kind of feeling better, I'm working on getting the technology back together so I can do some live streams. I've been waiting for a camera update for my GoPro so I can use it as my live stream camera. Because I have a camera, web camera, you know, I have one of these, you know, Logitech, Logitech web cameras. I don't like the quality of it. It's kind of chintzy. It worked good for what I needed it for. A while back I was doing a project, this has been 4 years ago now, I was doing a project with a company out of England, and we were doing web conferencing through, well, what was it, Citrix? No, not Citrix, it was Cisco's, whatever Cisco is, WebEx. And so I wanted to have a web camera to, you know, so I could see their face and they could see, you know, I'm rambling because I'm kind of tired today, but it is what it is. So this is kind of my workstation, and I need to really clean things up, but I'll give you a little quick look around here. You can see here I've been tying flies. You know, it's one of my favorite things to do. Plus, it's getting to be coming on to springtime finally, and so I've been working on tying up some flies. And as you can see over here, this is a huge mess too. So this mess is basically a roll-top desk that was my great-grandfather's, and then my grandfather's, and then mine. And so it's nice to have. I had it in storage, and then I got my old Yaesu FT101EE ham radio out. And started tuning that around. You can see here, this is how I set my studio up. I put this foam up to help with the echo because I tried to do some audio recording. I've got a couple side projects going on. I'll talk about those in a minute. But I was having a real problem with echo in this room, or at least in this end of the room. Now there's a really sweet resonance spot right here, just right over here, just a little bit of ways. You know, I think it might be just slightly off screen here, that I discovered when I was doing the renovation. It's just the shape of the room and everything made this a really nice resonance point over here in this one space that at some point when I get further down the road with this renovation, this might disappear, and then I might end up with the desk sitting over here. So I did do a little bit of voiceover work. For those of you that are new to the channel, I worked in radio for 23, 24 years, something like that. I was an on-air announcer actually in eastern Idaho. And in fact, it's funny, my one friends that are here in town, well, I have a lot of friends here in town, but the one friend that I like to play golf with, he invited me to come play golf with a couple of his buddies. And we were talking, and they both recognized my voice and wanted to know where they knew me from. And it was because I was on the radio here in Pocatello for about 8 years. And so it was kind of funny, you know. I hadn't experienced that for a very long time. A funny side story, radio story. I was probably 93, 94. We finally got to where we were pretty automated, and we used to do something called voice tracking. In fact, it's prominent now. It's everywhere in radio. But what you would do is you would sit down with a computer in front of you. You'd have your playlist, the music, you'd have your spots and everything like that. You'd have a schedule in front of you, how the spots were supposed to play. All you had to do is pre-record your breaks. And so what you would do is you would come in and say it's your 2:15 break. And then you would hit record and you would record your break. You know, that was, this is, the weather is, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And then you'd hit a button and that would put this in, and that would put a sub-audible Q-tone, a Q-tone that you couldn't hear, but what it would do is it would trigger the computer to fire the next element in the list, which is usually a stop set. At one point there I was doing 6 to midnight because our 6 to midnight guy disappeared. Typical radio. But I was doing 6 to midnights, and so I would go and I would record my show at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. I tried to do it a little later in the afternoon, closer to 6 o'clock, so the weather would be somewhat accurate. I mean, you know, I got really good at being very generic about the weather, you know, and that sort of stuff. And people, they had no idea it wasn't live. And I know that for a fact because one night I was headed home from work and I stopped at Albertsons. It was on the way home, and to pick up a couple things, like a 6-pack of beer and some stuff like that. And I go and back in that day, back then we paid with checks, and so I whipped out my checkbook, and I said, I'm writing a check to this girl at Albertsons, the check, the cashier at Albertsons. And she looks at the check and she says, "Can I see your ID?" And so I get my ID out and I say, "Is there a problem? I shop at this store 3 or 4 times a week, it seems like." She says, "Well, are you T.R. Boland?" I said, "Yes." She says, "Well, how can you be here? I just heard you on the radio." Apparently she had just got to work and she was listening to me on the radio. And here I am in her checkout line. I guess I ruined her concept of what radio was about at that point, didn't I? Anyway, so that stuff would happen every once in a while, and I just hadn't experienced that, that, I don't know, I guess everybody that works on the radio, I don't know, anybody that's in public light, or in a public light, especially like public media like that, I guess they tend to, I don't know, people think of them as celebrities. I would have people come up and ask me for my autograph and stuff like that when I would be out at doing remotes, when you go to the stereo shop and you're live at the stereo shop for 3 or 4 hours. But I had an old friend of mine reach out to me, and he wanted a third voice. He needed some voice work done. And so he sent me some scripts, and I've been recording those with, with this nice Sennheiser here, MK4. I don't know, can you actually see that? Let's see if we get over there. You might be able to see it over there. Yeah, there, you kind of see it. Anyway, I've been doing some voice work, and that's been really fun. It's been really challenging. I haven't done that for a very long time. And having a congested head, I really had to time it to where my head wasn't totally plugged up, so I didn't sound like I was talking inside of a toilet bowl. But that's been fun, and been a few coins in my pocket. Of course, I've been continuing along with producing the video footage that I recorded as I was doing the renovation on the house here. And I've got probably, I don't know, maybe 6 more weeks worth of that. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm going to cut back to once a week because one of my other side jobs is kind of blossomed into something that I really didn't expect. The gal that I used as my realtor that I bought my house through is a mutual friend of some friends. You know how that works. When you're looking for a referral for a real estate agent, you go to your friends and they say, "Oh, call this person." Well, it turns out Chris Volkrod, is who I've been doing some work for, is a super great gal. I really have enjoyed working with her. And just off the cuff, I said, "Hey, if you ever want to do any real estate marketing videos, let me know." And so after that, I've been kind of helping her. I helped her get the right camera equipment. I took her out. We've walked through a couple properties and shot some test footage so she would know how to shoot the video. Then she narrates as she walks through the house like it would be if you were showing it to somebody. That all comes back to me on a chip, and I stick the chip in and I do the editing.
Welcome to 240 South Main. This is 4,300 square feet of wide open potential. These walls are all removable or can remain where they're at. In 2011, this building did receive a new ceiling, new insulation, and updated lighting. Welcome to 466 East Pine. This 2,700 square foot mid-century mod home offers 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Range oven, microwave, and dishwasher will stay. Beautiful updated cabinetry has also been recently installed. The main floor has 2 bedrooms and 1 bath.
So I think you get the general idea. It's been fun. I haven't had time to edit 2 videos a week for the renovation series, which is just fine. I will drop back to once a week. That'll be Tuesdays. They'll still premiere at 7 o'clock. I'll still be online live. We're just getting into doing the floors, and the floors turned out really nice, and so I'm happy with it. but I still have some work to do around here. I got into a pinch on the trim. I haven't got my trim done yet. What happened is that real estate lumber prices doubled in a period of about 3 weeks. And I guess it's always that way, especially in cold climates. In the fall, the builders, they put a lot of foundations in the ground and then they order a ton of lumber, and that just drives the lumber prices up. Plus, again, with COVID, I suspect that they're not getting as much lumber as they used to because there's been a lot of shutdowns and a lot of slowdowns and those sorts of things associated with it. And so I think that probably has driven lumber prices up as well. So what was going to cost me 80 cents a foot went up to almost $2. And so that just, I just said, listen, it's not that big a deal. I'm just going to back off and wait. And so I've been waiting. I checked last week, and prices are coming back down into where I figure they're pretty, reasonable. And so I'm going to go ahead and buy up a bunch of trim and get my trim done here probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, something like that. Depends on my time and availability, because like I said, the real estate marketing videos has turned out to be really fun, and it's really allowing me to utilize the skills I've developed editing the how-to videos and my other vlogs, and actually make some money on it, more than what I make off of YouTube, which isn't a hell of a lot, but your support is greatly appreciated, especially of my Amazon store. I've had great support from everybody on my Amazon store. I get a small commission, but you pay the same price, and it's allowed me to buy some additional camera equipment. Which reminds me that I came home a couple weeks ago on a Friday night from having dinner at friends, and I had such a horrible headache that I must have forgot to lock my car, and I just came in and took some aspirin and went to bed. And I got up the next morning and I was working on some videos, and I needed my camera, my video camera, my DJI Pocket Osmo out of my bag, which after searching the house I realized I'd left it in the car. Well, it's gone. So I lost a bag with a bunch of camera gear in it. It was stolen. I lost a DJI Pocket Osmo. I lost my good old reliable Hero 4 GoPro. 3 backup batteries for the GoPro 4, 3 backup batteries for my Hero 8, what I'm recording on now, a tripod, some specialty mounts for the cameras, that kind of stuff. All in all, probably $1,200, just because I forgot to lock my car. I'm a little surprised, but I got to chatting with the neighbors, and apparently there's been a problem, especially in the area, well, all over Pocatello. And I parked my car on the street because the RV's in the driveway. And I'm sure that it was just somebody walking down the street in the night, checking door handles, and they found mine open, and boom, they had it. They got about $12 in cash out of the console. They ransacked my car. I mean, there was shit everywhere. So that was kind of a drag. I haven't quite recovered from that yet. I'm still waiting for the insurance company to decide what they're going to pay me for the cameras. We're fighting about them being depreciated, and I thought I had, replacement cost. So, that's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks to get sorted out, but I'm not hurting for cameras because I haven't been recording a lot of content on my own cameras. Been mostly working with other people's content and with the content that I recorded, over the 40 odd days that I was doing the renovation before I moved in. So I don't want to make this a political statement, but I sure do want to mention something about the shit that went on at the Capitol here last week. I don't care what your political leanings are, but violence is never the answer. Why do you think I keep closing my videos? Every video I've ever made, with the exception of a couple, I always close the video with, until we get together the next time, peace. And I mean it. I really think that everybody deserves peace. I really feel like social media has been the downfalling of society. I participate in social media very begrudgingly. In fact, I haven't really posted anything on social media other than a couple things on Facebook for a very long time. But mostly because it's, as far as I'm concerned, it has totally destroyed our citizenship, our country. So all I'm going to say is that I'll keep participating in social media. It's going to be very begrudgingly. It's going to be very seldom. But I do appreciate it when you visit my website over at trboland.com, because that really helps a lot too. Just taking a stop over to the website, looking around for a few minutes. Got some pretty good photography over there. And I've got a whole bunch now that I've been working on in my spare time amongst my other little projects, tying flies, and I got all kinds of stuff listening to the ham radios. So looking forward, I have been working on three different RV videos. As I mentioned a long time ago, several months ago, just because I'm selling my Class A doesn't mean I'm going to quit RVing or quit being a nomad of sorts. I fully have plans to next winter with everything, if everything comes together the way I think it should. Get back on the road at least for a couple months in the winter, but it'll be in a pickup with a camper, and that's I'm still in the makings on the plans on that. I really don't want to pull the trigger on that until I sell the RV, because I'm going to use the money I've got as equity in my RV to go out and buy a pickup and a sliding camper, and probably renovate the sliding camper. To what extent, I'm not exactly sure. It'll just depend on the camper and how much I have to spend for it. But you'd be surprised how expensive those damn sliding campers can get. Anyway, that's coming. I've gotten so many questions on the biogeomethod video that are repeat questions. The same questions keep coming in over and over. But I'm going to make a couple videos around the questions that came in on that. In fact, those are in the process, and those actually should be ready to release here. Oh, probably in the next 4 weeks or so. And I have a series of 5 different videos I'm working on along those lines about full-time RVing. I'm going to do a retrospective look back. I've started compiling this a couple months ago. My 4 years of full-time living in Rusty, my 2004 Newmar Dutch Star. We got across the country quite a few times and had a really good time. And I kind of talked about this a little bit ago, but I'm going to recycle on that. I'm having some separation anxiety. I think that's probably why I didn't hurry up and sell it last fall, is because I really love that RV. I mean, it's been an amazing RV. Super comfortable. It was home for 4 years. I was very comfortable living in it. The reason I changed is I just wanted to change the pace. The change is the spice of life. If you get caught in a rut and you're doing the same thing over and over and you're not liking it, then you probably need to change. And so that's why I decided I'd change. I just got tired of the work it took to be planning ahead, finding places to park, and doing those sorts of things. And the second thing is that with a 40-foot Class A motorhome, boondocking, it can be done, but you have to do a hell of a lot of research, and you need to know where you're going, because there's a ton of considerations to take into account, and doing it in a 40-foot Class A was much more work than I really wanted to do. So that's why those are two of the main reasons I decided to go ahead and buy a sticks and bricks and come back to that. There's some other reasons that you'll learn about later if you stick with the channel. Well, I look at the clock. I'm looking at the clock over here, and I think I'm up to about 30 minutes, so I'm going to shut this down and edit it real quick and see if I can get it posted tonight. It's Sunday the 17th of January, and now that I think about it, it's probably been three months, maybe 4. Yeah, it's been 4 months since I did a personal update like this, and so I apologize for that. In the meantime, if you'll give me that thumbs up, those are greatly appreciated. That helps my video a lot. If you're not subscribed, be sure and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so you'll be notified when new videos come up. I invite you to visit my Amazon store and support the channel. There's a link in the description below, as well as links to all my social media. And then also a second call out. Please go over and just check out trbolin.com. Spend a few minutes on my website. That helps a lot. It really does. I'm always happy to hear from you, so leave your questions or comments below. But for now, it's time to go. Thanks for watching. I sure do appreciate it. Till we get together for the next one. Peace.